Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast, a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I saw a post on social that I feel like is a Greek tragedy. And it was a preceptor who was asked to write a recommendation. And they wrote a recommendation, but when they got to the last box, why is this student qualified for this particular site, they left the box empty. And I just was kind of, taken aback by that. And I was like, what do you mean you left it empty? And I would think, well, just email the student, say, hey, why do you feel like you fit this site? But I guess with the overwhelm of having to write so many recommendations and things like that, that box is actually the very toughest for recommenders to put. So if you have in some way, you have maybe a day or two, and you don't see that those recommendations have gone out, make sure that you, in your reminder email, that you send the preceptor, hey, forecast shows that the recommendation is not there. I know it's the holidays. I know you are super busy. I just wanted to maybe make it a little bit easier for you. And then use from residencyhelp.com, I have a whole page dedicated to just the recommendation with the actual recommendation or a link to the actual recommendation document. But I cannot tell you how much that is going to hurt the candidate that they didn't fill that box in for. Because it's just like in a marriage when, if my wife and I argue, that's actually okay-ish. But when she goes silent, that is the absolute worst thing, because and she hates it when I do it too and shut down. And guys go into their cave and you can't go into the cave to get them. But that's tangent. But that kind of silence that says, well, they're a really good student, but I don't know why they fit your site. I just know they're a good student. That's a dagger, because my background in human-computer interaction, I know how things, there's how things are presented and how they fill it out. But the actual way that someone reads a recommendation, if they're TLDRing it, is to go to the bottom and just look at the one that says, okay, well, let's just see how they fit our site before I even look at, what their characteristics are on a Likert scale of 1 to 5 or whatever it is. So please, I am begging you, if it shows up that the recommendations are not there and you see that that the recommenders are overwhelmed, please follow those tips I put in the book and I put on the website, which basically you give the recommender what they need to give you the best recommendation. Because putting a blank at the very end to say, well, it's a good student, but I don't know how they fit you, that's just absolutely brutal in terms of your ability to compete with other candidates who have even just at a minimum 2 to 3 sentences that say, this student was just really great in the one-on-one interaction with ambulatory care. They followed up with the person later. I know that your site has significant ambulatory care opportunities in endocrinology, in smoking cessation, and so forth. Those 3 sentences are all the site needs to say, oh, wow, this is a good recommendation. This is the recommendation must match also. Like, everything has to match. And when I read that, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that, this particular social site has no, I have no idea who the person was or what site and so forth. But please, if you're sending out reminders to your recommenders, maybe the 1 or 2 that didn't get everything in yet, I know that recommendations are still accepted after a certain time frame, although it's up to the site to actually use them. But please make sure that your recommenders are filling in that last box. It really matters. Hey, thanks for listening to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast. And if you're interested in learning more about the interview process, go over to Amazon.com where you can check out 100 strong residency interview questions, answers, and rationales in print book, ebook, and audiobook.